Welcome to Transform Your Life in 15 Minutes. I'm Pia McAdams. I am an author. I'm also a certified life coach, and I'm also an accounting professor. I actually specialize in personal and small business finance and also fitness. I help people reach their goals. Now, fat. Oh my gosh, when you're reading the food labels, you have like saturated fat, unsaturated fat, money, poly, salt, whatever. It's all types of fats, right? So what is the skinny on fat? What is the deal? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about fats in our diets. So we're going to specifically talk about what are the types of fats. I'm also going to be naming the different types of fats. I'm going to also talk about why fat is important to your body. We're going to be talking about the good versus the bad fat. And then finally, we're going to talk about daily recommendations. Okay, so this is the broadcast, or the mind portion is going to be about fat. So I hope you are excited. Good morning, Nell Bell. Good to see you on this morning. All right, so again, of course, got to welcome all my viewers. Thank you for coming on. Again, we're going to be talking about the skinny on fat. Now, guys, this can be so complicated, like seriously, so I'm going to try to make it, just kind of take it and make the fat skinny so that you understand it, okay? Now, as far as the types of fats are concerned, there's really two main types of fats, okay? So we have the saturated fats and we have the unsaturated fats, okay? You got that? Saturated, unsaturated fats. Now, to help us understand that, though, we kind of got to go a little bit scientific. I know it's early in the morning, but just kind of flow with me. And for all you visual learners out there, I just truly apologize because I don't have any visual graphics in this little 5-minute section, okay? But just kind of follow along with me and just kind of basically just follow along. Okay, so in order to understand the fats, we have to talk about the most common form of fat, what it consists of, and that is a triglyceride. Now, imagine triglyceride is a compound that is made of an alcohol called glycerol, and then attached to it are three fatty acids. Okay, so if you imagine like my hand, pretend like this is the glycerol portion right here, and these are the three fatty acids. Okay, three of them, which is why triglycerides, right? There's three of them, tri. All right, now within each of these fatty acids, there's a molecular compound, okay, a structure, how it's made up. Okay, I want to try not to get too technical, but this is important that you understand this. Okay, so let's just demonstrate with just one molecular structure. Inside of this fatty acid, there are carbon bonds or carbons that are bonded together by other carbons. And like, let's say in this one, we're going to do a straight line. So it's basically carbon attached to carbon attached to carbon. And on the outer perimeter, it's also attached by hydrogen. Okay, that's the basic structure of the one that I'm talking about now. Okay, so this is a saturated fat. The reason why it's called a saturated fat is because it's saturated with hydrogen atoms. Okay, that's why I got to explain it to you, okay? So whereas an unsaturated fat, the molecular structure is different, and I can't really show you that. Some is different. They have two different types, but again, I'm trying to get too technical. But with the unsaturated fat, there's not as many hydrogen bonds, okay? And then with the carbons, the bonds there's actually double bonds. And that's what's important, is understanding the bonding. And in case you're wondering, the bonding is how they attach. So like if you have two carbons, one bond would be like one, two bonds would be like this. Now, so major types again. Two major types, saturated and unsaturated. Now, as far as the unsaturated, they have three subcategories of unsaturated fat. That's when we have our trans fats, we have our unsaturated fat, and then we have our polyunsaturated fat. Okay, so we'll get to those a little later. Let's first talk about the saturated fat. Remember, the saturated fat has one bond. And that's important because it enables the fatty acids, the triglycerides, to stack upon each other, which is why at room temperature, these particular fats solidify. They become a solid. Okay, so for example, think in terms of, and these are generally found in your meats, right? So this is going to be like your meat products, like it's found in pork, it's found in the fatty beef, it's found in milk, dairy products, it's found in eggs, it's found in cheese. Okay, so again, at room temperature, just think, they become a solid. That's the saturated fat. Okay, you got that one. Pretty simple, right? Saturated by hydrogen bonds, and they become solid. Now, let's go to the unsaturated fat. The reason why it's called unsaturated fat, again, is because it doesn't have as many hydrogen bonds to it. Hydrogen atoms. And it has a double bond. Now, because of the double bond, it doesn't allow these to stack because they're shaped a little different. So they're not able to stack on top of each other, which is why at room temperature, they're still in this liquid form. Okay, so does it make sense? Oh, yes, thank you, Nubba. You're absolutely right. I forgot to mention that coconut oil is also considered an unsaturated fat. That's a good one because remember, just think of any of the oils that become solid, which is the tropical oils like coconut oil. Those are considered saturated fat. Thank you for that, Nell. All right, so back to the unsaturated fat. Remember, these do not stack up. Those triglycerides do not stack up. So these are a liquid at room temperature, okay? So they don't solidify at all. Now, let's talk about the three subcategories of the unsaturated fat. The first we're going to talk about is the trans fat. Guys, these are the no-no. These are the ones you want to stay away from. Why? The reason why it's called a trans fat is because it's a chemical process, right? So it's called hydrogenated. Yeah, hydrogenated. There we go. We got it. Hydrogenated. I couldn't think of it. It's early in the morning. And I'm talking about fats. Now, it's a chemical process. What they do is they actually add hydrogen to those atoms, but it's chemically added. These are the bad fats. These are the ones that you want to stay away from. So these are the ones that are found in like your fried foods. They're found like in salad dressings. They're found in, like frozen pizza, like, all the bad foods. And you want to stay away from those, okay? Some chips, like basically what you're looking for on the label, if it says partially hydrogenated oils, those, if you see those, you want to totally stay away from that, okay? Those are the bad ones. As a matter of fact, they're thinking about outlawing those in the United States. And that's why you see in the labeling where it says no trans fat. But guys, I tell you, the research is so conflicting on all this stuff, but I will tell you this, the research all points that trans fats are the bad fats, okay? But the problem with the labeling is this. The FDA allows the companies to say no trans fat, even if they have anywhere from like 0 to I think it's like 0.05 grams of trans fat, they can still say no trans fat, okay? So again, read the labels and, you get a lot of those words you can't even pronounce, but look for partially hydrogenated oils. Stay away from those. Those are the bad fats, okay, the trans fat. Now, the other type of unsaturated fat, we have the monounsaturated fat. And by the way, these words really do mean something. The mono means it's just one double carbon bond. So remember I talked about the two carbon bonds? The two carbon atoms bonded together by two. There's only one of them, hence monounsaturated. Now, these are the ones that are found in your oil, such as olive oil. You got the peanut oil. You have the avocados. You have your peanuts, and you have your nuts and your seeds. Okay, so those are the monounsaturated oils or fats. Oils. They are oils, but fats. Okay. Then moving on, we have the poly. Let's see what's going on here. I got my glasses on so I can see. I know it is so conflicting. Like I'm trying to get the skinny of it, but trust me, I'm going to summarize all this to let you know the good and the bad and the fat. But it is really constricting, but it actually helps you to if you understand what's going on, and then you can kind of get a better gauge of it. Okay. Now, when it comes to the polyunsaturated fat, understand poly means multiple, right? So remember we talked about those two carbon atoms with the double bonds. There's multiple of them in that fatty acid that I talked about earlier, okay? Again, the reason why the poly ones are important because these are the ones that our body does not make, but we need these, okay? So the unsaturated fat, our body does not naturally make them, but we need these. And these are classified according to their omega levels, okay? So we have 4 omega levels that we need. We need omega-3, we need omega-6, there's omega-7, and there's omega-9. For the purpose of this, because again, it can get so complicated, I'm only going to talk about the two main ones, which is going to be the omega-3 and omega-6, okay? So these, again, are polyunsaturated fat. All right, so let's start off with the omega-6. Now, with the omega-6, these are the ones that are, these have inflammatory effects, okay? So these can be found in like the processed oils. This can found, grab me some water and get a little thirsty here. The salad dressing, the fried foods, and the grain-fed beef also have the omega-6, okay? So these are the inflammatory fats. Whereas the omega-3 are the anti-inflammatory fats. And these are the ones that are found like in your salmon, your tuna, your flax seeds, and also your walnuts. Now, when it comes to the omegas, because again, all this conflicting information, when it comes to omega, the ratio is very, very important. Okay, the ratio, and I'm talking about the ratio to the omega-6 to the omega-3. You want to have generally a 3-to-1 ratio, which means 3 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. Okay, that's the general recommendation. No more than 4-to-1, but 3-to-1 is the main ratio. So that's important. And by the way, you want to remember, these are important because our body doesn't make these and we need these. Keep in mind, guys, the average person, their ratio is 16-to-1, which is not good. Not good at all. All right, so let's talk about this, the good and the bad and the fat. Oh my gosh, there's so many conflicting evidence. Like seriously, there's research that says saturated fat is bad for you. There's research that says saturated fat is good for you. Likewise and so on, right? Let me just give you the skinny on it. It's all about moderation, okay? In other words, saturated fat and unsaturated fat, do it at moderation. We do need fat because I'm going to talk about why fat is important to our body in just a moment. We do need fat, but it's about moderation. However, stay away from the trans fats. The trans fats are undoubtedly known to be the bad fat. Okay, so all the research at least points that trans fats are the bad fats. Whereas research, there's conflicting evidence about, that's why I'm not mentioning about cholesterol, because there's conflicting evidence about which one causes high cholesterol, low cholesterol. And now there's even more research that's saying that really cholesterol is being caused by a different types of triglyceride, which is coming from the calories from sugar and not from fat. Okay, so again, there's so many conflicting evidence out there, but keep in mind that you know how to eat, right? Stay away from those fried foods, the frozen food. Remember the processed foods I was talking about, the ones that have excess sugar. That's why you want to stay away from those. And if you're reading the food label, again, you're looking for partially hydrogenated oils. Stay away from those. Okay, so now let's talk about why it's important for your body. Well, our body, remember, are made up of cells. Let's see where we're going on. Farmer trying to keep people in their medicine. So, I'm glad you mentioned that, because you know what? Seriously, I try not to be skeptical. Okay, I seriously do. I try not to be, and it's not that I'm not skeptical. It's just that I do a lot of research, and the more that you do research, it comes down to a common denominator every single time, and it's about money. It seriously is about money. Let me just kind of give you an insight on my investigation. I'll kind of get back to this. It's Saturday. You guys got time, right? So when I was doing my investigation on this stuff, they actually, like back in the day, I want to say like in the 1950s, when they did the research, and all the research about the fats really came from one doctor, and I just forgot his name, but again, that's not really important at this point. If you want to know, research it. But anyway, so all the information was coming based upon his research. Even though the government at the time had evidence that a certain type of fat was not good for you, they still put it in their regulations. Yes. And then all of a sudden, Americans became really, really fat. And now they're saying, oh, well, maybe that wasn't so good for you after all. Namely, those trans fats. Okay. So they knew it at the time. Okay. But they still put it in their recommendation that you really should eat these kind of fats. And then people start getting fat. So in other words, and even with research, right? Who's doing the research? Is it the companies that are supporting? Like if I'm a company that's making, let's say, saturated fat, and I'm picking on it, I'm just giving you an example. If I'm a company that's making saturated fat, of course I'm going to put out research to the FDA that supports my claim, because I want you to understand this. Like, this is very, very important. When it comes to research for like the FDA and the CDC and all of those, the research is not coming from independent third-party organizations, not at all. The research is coming from the companies that are actually submitting their claims. So if I have, let's say, a medicine, a pharmaceutical, whatever it's called, I can't even think of the name. But let's say I have a drug. I have a drug that I wanted to get approved by the FDA. I'm going to submit my research why this drug is healthy for Americans and what it's going to do. And here's my research, right? Well, if I'm the company submitting my supporting evidence, well, duh, I'm going to make sure that my supporting evidence supports my claim, because I want to make sure that my drug is approved by the organization. Okay, so understand that. So that's why there's conflicting evidence on everything, which is why I really, really stress this. You have to know your body. You have to go internal and find out what works for you. Your body tells you what works for you. Look at how your body is going to reflect on the outside. What you do on the inside is going to be reflective on the outside. And again, so when it comes about with this eating, particularly because, again, nutrition is 80% of your overall health. Nutrition is the food that we take. And we can't even really trust that, right? Because the food is going to be dictated based on money, which is why they're putting cows in jail and these little cells in jail, and they're feeding them processed corn. Well, keep in mind, if they're doing that to the animals and then you're eating the animals, then blah, blah, blah. And then you say, okay, so remember, I did the same thing. I said, okay, so I'm no longer going to eat chicken and beef, and because of the way they were doing, the way they were processing the food or the animals. So then I said, okay, I'm going to go with fish. Yep, so scary. Then I found out they're freaking feeding fish corn, like that's form-fed fish. And even with, I will say this, people then say, well, what about the ocean? The ocean's contaminated, which it is, because they're dumping stuff in the ocean as well. But again, I would prefer to go with the ocean, because at least the ocean is vast. Okay. And even though there may be some contamination in certain parts, for the most part, the ocean is vast. So I would take my chance with that, as opposed to you feeding fish corn, which I know is not good for the fish, because they don't eat corn. Okay. So keep that in mind. So then I was like, okay, darn, now they mess with the fish. Well, guess what? Even plants, guys, they put fertilizers on plants, because if you think about it, if you've ever known, let me see what Nell Bell says. The ocean is much more vast. Absolutely. If you ever have done your own garden, right? You know how little those little cucumbers come out, and the little tomatoes and the little potatoes, right? It's little. So if you think in terms, like if you're just doing the garden for yourself, then you can probably feed yourself in your garden. But imagine farmers wanting vegetables and fruits to submit to the general public. They want to make sure those tomatoes and those cucumbers and all the vegetables are huge, so that they can feed a lot of people and get the contracts. Again, so they're putting pesticides and all that kind of stuff. And again, we can talk about organic versus inorganic, but I just kind of explained to you, right? Like seriously, I just kind of explained to you that a company can actually say zero trans fat when there's really trans fat in there. So same thing again. Okay, Nobel got me on the tangent, but this is a good one, because the bottom line is this: listen to your body, and everything is about moderation, except for stay away from those processed foods. Like seriously, stay away from the processed food, those high sugars. Don't add an extra salt to your foods. Those are the things that are going to really affect your health. And let's say I say stay away from processed food, but we know that's like kind of like impossible, because even I love pizza. I'm not gonna lie, I love pizza. However, if you're going to eat it in moderation, maybe once a week. Don't eat it every single day. Don't eat it 2 and 3 times a week. Eat it maybe once a week. And then if you can go some weeks without eating it, great. Okay. All right. So now where was I? Now you got to get me on. Oh, thank you so much. All right. So we talked about the good and the bad, right? So in other words, there's conflicting evidence about what causes cholesterol and everything. And even with the cholesterol, we have the good cholesterol and we have the bad cholesterol. The bad cholesterol is the LDL, and then the good cholesterol is the HDL. And again, generally speaking, it was research to find that the saturated fat caused the LDL one to go up. But again, it's conflicting. So that's why I didn't want to mention this in that broadcast, because it's conflicting evidence. Okay. But what's not conflicting again is that trans fat is the bad. Now they're saying that when I say that the saturated and the unsaturated fats are the good fats, understand that I'm talking about the good fats that come from good sources, like I was talking about the grain-fed beef and all that. So there's good and bad in both of them. There's better quality fats. In other words, all fats are not made equal. So you want to get the best ones possible. Okay. And I mentioned those examples. You may have to go back to figure those out. Now, let's go ahead and wrap it up and talk about the daily recommendation. So again, this is based upon a 2-calorie diet. Okay. And the daily recommendation is anywhere between 400 to... Did I talk about why fat's important? No, I didn't, did I? See, I told you I was going off on the tangent. I remember saying 1. Okay, so let me go back up to why fat is important, because I don't want you to think that fat is not important. Good morning, Lamont. Thank you so much. All right, so fat is important to your body. We need fat. Do not cut out fat, okay? We do need fat. One of the reasons why the fat is important, because our body is made up of cells, which I've been talking about. And guess what? The outer membrane portion of the cell is the vast majority is made up of fat. So we do need fat, okay? So it's going to help that. It's going to also help to regulate our hormones, okay? And then also fat. Remember in our calorie talk, I talked about fat is energy dense. It really is, because remember that 1 gram of fat, 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories as opposed to the carbs and the sugar was just 4. Okay, so it's actually energy dense. It really is. So it's important to our body. And then the other reason why is because it helps our body absorb the vitamins and the minerals that it needs. Okay, so we do need fat. Okay, your body do need fat. Do not cut it out, but it's the good fat that you want to concentrate on as opposed to the bad fat. And we just talked about the bad fat is namely the trans fat. The other monosaturated fats are the other unsaturated fats, and the saturated fats those are the quote unquote, they say good fats. Okay, now they're called good fats. Remember when the saturated fat was considered bad, but now it's good. The good, the bad, and the ugly. But anyway, all right, so now daily recommendation. The daily recommendation is this. You want to, for a 2,000 calorie diet, they say anywhere between 400 to 700 fat calories. That's the daily recommendation. No more than that. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, remember there's 9 per gram. There's 9 calories, right? So you just divide it by 9. So as far as gram is concerned, that's anywhere between 44 grams and 78 grams of fat per day based upon a 2-calorie diet. But again, honestly, your best bet is to make sure that you're eating healthy according to your body. I remember talking about that. Your body will let you know what's good for it. And, you can tell. And keep in mind when I say this, I know you're like, oh my God, that just sounds so foreign to me. It is going to sound foreign to you when I say listen to your body because you're not used to it. You don't do it. You don't listen to your body. But I promise you, if you start just to listen and just take the step, the decision to learn your body will start talking to you literally inside. Your body will start talking to you. Like, for instance, you can actually, I'm telling you, there's so much research out here that I keep telling you, our body is it's a great machinery. Anything that we need, we produce. Anything that we mainly need, we produce, except for, remember, those polyunsaturated fat. We need those, from outside sources. But for the most part, and that's probably because of all the other things we've done over history to our body that now we need those, because obviously our body has everything that we need. You just got to listen to it. You got to go internal. You can actually, there's been instances where people have actually, they can eat just about anything that they want. Obviously, we're talking about good food in moderation, and it won't affect their weight or it won't affect them negatively because they know what their body is. And they basically talk to their body and say, I'm going to eat this unhealthy. And if it's unhealthy, I'm going to eat this, but because blah, 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 it's not going to make any negative effects. Okay. Really learn your body. I know this sounds foreign. You're like, oh my God, Pia's going out in la la land here. I'm not. This is really some good stuff. It's really true stuff. It's really research stuff, but the stuff you're not being exposed to is when I'm talking about listening to your body. But the more, if you make the decision to do it, and remember I talked about yoga and meditation being a practice. If you practice listening to your body, it will start speaking to you and it will tell you this is good, this is bad, stay away from this and stay away from that. The problem is this, guys, seriously. The problem is we're so inundated with all types of distractions in our lives nowadays. We really have lack of self-love and we don't even like our own company. You know how you have people that always have to be surrounded by people or have to be surrounded by noise? Like, let's say if you come home, you have to turn on the TV or turn on the radio. There has to be something going on to distract your mind. Let's see, what does Lamont says? Why only 2,000 calories a day? I ask because I do better, feel better when it's over 2 calories of the day. Okay, that's a great point. And we talked about this earlier when I was talking about the calories. When we're talking about the 2,000 calories, this is a basic recommendation from the USDA for, trying to regulate weight. It's a general statement. And when I say 2,000 calories, remember, I actually said that for women, they generally say 1,800 to 2,000 calories, and for men is slightly more. But when it comes to calories, and I'll go back a little bit on this because this is important. Thanks for bringing that up, Lamont. When it's talking about calories, remember I told you, they can't really say one thing that's going to be good for everybody because everybody's different. Your caloric intake is going to be based upon your physical activity, your height, your age, your weight. It's going to be dependent upon those things, okay? But as a general rule, in order to have food labels that everyone can at least read and understand and have some type of conformity, they say it's based upon a 2,000 calorie diet. But your calorie limit, you may need more calories than 2,000. Some people need less, but it's just a general rule. So, and that's a good point. Whenever you're reading labels and whenever you're hearing about all the stuff I'm talking about, it's all based on the general rule, on the average person, based on research. And that's why I keep saying your best bet is to know your body. So Lamont, seems like you know your body because you're saying that yours do better when it's over 2,000. Absolutely. What I don't want people to do is this. I don't want people to read the labels and say, oh, it's 2,000 calories, so therefore I need to eat 2,000 calories. That's a big mistake. You don't want to do that, okay? That's just a general rule. This is general guideline, but you have to know your body. For instance, if you're younger, or let's say shorter, and you don't do as much physical activities, 2,000 calories might make you put on weight, okay? And then remember, we talked about calories. All calories are not created equal. So it's just a lot of confusing stuff. And my job, what I'm trying to do now, just kind of take the confusion out of it. And to do that, your main focus on all of this noise that's going on with calories and trans fats and monosaturated and all this is to stay in tune with your body. That's going to be your best bet, okay? You are the best person that's going to know you. And I know that I'm supposed to say, like anytime I make type of recommendations, you're supposed to say, okay, make sure you talk to your doctor. But again, and I can definitely say this on air, live, the doctors are not going to know your body better than you. You're going to know your body better than the doctor. The doctor is, remember, medicine is a practice. Okay, they practice medicine based upon them seeing lots of patients. They can pretty generous tell what's going on because of the averages of all the patients that they see. But it really is a practice. Seriously, you know what's best for you. That's why if you notice, like I talk to my mom a lot every single day, matter of fact. And we were talking yesterday about her high blood pressure. And she's always telling me, like, when she goes to doctors, like doctors are prescribing her this medicine, that medicine. And then she has to tell the doctor, well, I can't take that medicine because it's going to conflict with this medicine and all that. So when doctors, that's why they ask you all those questions, because they don't really know you. You know you, okay? So keep that in mind when you're looking at all of this stuff that's going on, trying to make heads and tails and left and right, and you're turned upside down. What does Nell Bell say? Docs don't even know or have studied. I'm glad you said it, Nell Bell. Now I can repeat what you said because, again, trying to be safe here, but who cares, right? What Nell Bell said is so true. Doctors they're not trained in nutrition. They're not, okay? They're not trained in nutrition. They're not. They're like a lot of doctors not even trained in kinesiology, okay? For the most part, they may have that, but they may have taken it like a long time ago. And keep in mind, it's not that I'm down putting a negative light on doctors, not what I'm saying at all, but understand when you're going to specialties, like this could be doctors, this could be lawyers, even accountants. You got to understand that when we went to school, first off, our education is based upon the American education system. That's enough said with that. We're not even going to go there, right? But our education is based upon that. And then based upon your industry, you're exposed to a lot of stuff, general stuff. It's up to a doctor to specialize into something. It's up to an accountant to specialize into something. It's up to an attorney to specialize in a particular practice of law, right? So you can't just go to any doctor and say, oh, okay, something's going on with my brain, my head. I think I need a CAT scan, right? They're going to send you to a specialist. Okay. Same thing with an attorney. If you're going to be, you commit a crime, you're not just going to go to any attorney. You're going to go to a criminal lawyer. Same thing with an accountant. Just because they have a CPA doesn't mean that they know your taxes. If they don't specialize in taxes, they're not going to know your taxes. Yeah, they took taxes way back when and they do their own taxes, but if that's not their specialty, that's not their specialty. Okay, so same thing with doctors, and that's why they say medicine is a practice. They're practicing medicine. But again, you are the best. You know your medical history. You know what drugs that you're taking. You know those side effects. And keep in mind, I had this conversation with my mom yesterday about her high blood pressure because, oh my God, my mom's been taking high blood pressure probably about as long as I can remember, like when I was little. And I said, Mom, like, do you ever think that maybe, it's definitely not treating you. Like maybe it's just like an addiction, like you're just taking it because it's just making you feel better. And then she's like, well, yeah, but at my age, I'm not going to not take it because then what if something happens? I said, well, possibly not take it and then something good happens because there's other ways that you can do to lower your blood pressure. But of course, I wasn't trying to discourage her from taking her blood pressure. But just with all my research with the pharmaceutical companies, they're not trying to treat diseases, guys. They're not. I guess got to be honest with you. Someone needs to be honest with you. I don't have any interest, right? They have an interest. Their interest is money. Remember I talked about all the research I go pinpoints to money. It goes back to money. Okay, keep in mind, and I talked about this last night. I teach my accounting class this semester is on Friday evening. I talked about this in class last night because what were we talking about? I can't remember what we were talking about, but there's something on the lines of this, but in the accounting industry. And one of the students said, Oh, I would know. We were talking about like shipping and that kind of stuff. We were talking about shipping and who pays for shipping. Like there's no such thing as free shipping. And so in our discussion of shipping, something came out where the students like, man, they're just making money just because. And I had to remind them. I said, guys, what is the purpose of a for-profit business? For-profit means to make a profit, to make money. Pharmaceutical companies are for-profit business. They're in the business to make money. They're not in the business for your treatment. They're in the business to make money, period. Now, nonprofit organizations, however, are in the business to provide a service. They also make a profit. Don't get it twisted. They also make a profit, but it is for their overall establishment is to provide a service. So when you're thinking about your eating and pharmaceutical, your medicines and anything that has to do with, your health and well-being, think about the bottom line of what type of company is facilitating that. For medicines, the pharmaceutical companies, those are for profit. They're for money. When it comes to other companies like Kellogg's and all those other big major food companies, again, in the business to make money. And of course, they again collaborate with the government. Yeah, it's all twisted. Okay, that's enough. It's all twisted. Good stuff, guys, here. But the bottom line is that fat is good for you, so you want to make sure that you do no high fat, low carbs, and all that, because it's too complicated. What I am going to recommend is that you do listen to your body. Your body's going to give you the best indicator of how to eat for you. And come on, you know that when you're eating French fries at McDonald's with the ice cream cone, okay, that was maybe me, but that's not good for you. You know it. You know it's gonna, like for instance, I tend to carry my fat around my middle, okay? That's where I carry my fat, is around my middle. So I know when I'm not eating healthy. I can tell, I know this stuff, okay? That doesn't mean I don't eat healthy 100% of the time. I mean, come on, this is life. I'm gonna enjoy life. It's just that I do it in moderation, okay? Like the McDonald's, let me see, when's the last time? It's been a while. It's been about 24 hours. No, I'm just joking. But anyway, you want to make sure that you eat unhealthy just in moderation. And remember the 80-20 rule, okay? The 80-20 rule that I used to say at the end of all my classes is this. Eat healthy 80% of the time, okay? And then you're going to eat unhealthy 10% of the time. And then you're going to think about eating unhealthy 10% of the time, okay? When I say think about eating unhealthy, that means you're not eating, okay? So in other words, 90% of the time, you're either eating healthy or you're not eating. The other 10% is where you're eating unhealthy. So keep that rule in mind when it comes to eating. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the yoga portion and then also the meditation. Guys, this is the reason why I do this transformation, right? The mind, body, soul connection is because I want you to learn your body. Okay, that's like my there's a underlying reason for here. In order to make transformation, you have to know who you are first. And so with this mind, with the yoga and with the meditation, these are the ways that you're actually learning your body. For yoga, you're learning your body through movement. Okay, so as we're doing the movement, you're thinking about what's going on the inside. Where are my muscles? What's going on here? Where am I tight? Where's the sensation, the tightness feeling, the tension and feeling, the negativity in my body? That's what you're thinking about in yoga. And more importantly, you're thinking about releasing and relaxing those tight areas in your body. Okay, so that's why you're focusing on your breath. We're doing ujjayi breathing. And then also with the meditation, this is where you really, there's different types of meditation. The one that I'm having you practice is the one where the focus is to totally clear your mind, because we have all these thoughts. Remember I talked about distractions. We're so used to distractions that we don't even realize it. And that actually, it's because of self-love. If you love yourself, one, you're going to be selfish. And I need to talk about that one time, because people think that's a negative connotation, like being selfish. We only can see through the eyes of self. So yes, that makes me selfish, but why does being selfish mean it has to be bad? It's not bad. You want to be selfish because everyone else is. Because you're supposed to be. You only can see out of your eyes, which is the selfish. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little later. But I say that because you need to go internal. You need to know yourself. And it's not selfless. It's selfless to do that. Okay, it is selfish, but it's also selfless to do that. Okay, you want to know what's going on internal, which means you got to get rid of those distractions. And the first way to do that is to start with the distractions that's inside. All of those thoughts that are going on in your mind. And it's normal. It's normal and it's healthy. It's about 70,000 thoughts that go through our mind every single day, right? Throughout the day, just little crazy things that's going on there. But you have to get through that distractions and focus. And we're going to really focus on our breath. So again, the meditation that we're doing is more so to try to clear your mind of all those thoughts and just give it a focus on the breath. So kind of clear out those cloudy areas. And over time, you can, there's different types of meditation that you can actually practice. But the one today that I'm doing for the transformation is the one that you're clearing your mind, because I want you to start learning your body. And I also mentioned that nowadays, again, research, now they're saying that they're not considering your mind and your body as two separate things. They're actually calling it one thing now, like your body has a mind. So they're calling it the mind-body, okay? So the mind-body connection. And that makes sense, right? Because again, there is connectivity of everything. Like there's no, where do I start and where do I end, as opposed to, like, for instance, my fingertips to my palms to my wrist, everything is connected, okay? So my mind and my body is connected. So we're going to spend 2/3 of the time doing the body and then also the soul, the meditation. It is a practice, okay? Be patient with yourself. I just want you to understand that in the meditation, like we're going to do like a 5-minute guided meditation, but if you were doing a breathing meditation by yourself where you're just really just focusing on your breath, and even without music, I love meditating without music and I love meditating with music, okay? Just really depends. But in that meditation, understand that if you did a 5-minute meditation, like let's say you're doing a meditation with me, and you can only clear your mind and just really listen and focus to me for like 10 to 15 seconds, you're doing good. You're doing great, okay? Don't be hard on yourself when you're going through your meditation practice and all of a sudden, it may be weeks or months that you go through, you're like, I just can't get it. I'm not focusing, concentrating. Stick with it. Be patient with yourself. However long you are, you gotta remember, you've developed habits, and attitudes and all kinds of stuff for years, and now you're trying to clear your way through that. It's going to take some time. It's going to take patience. It's like riding a bicycle. Well, it's not really like riding bicycles. Well, it really is over the long haul, because once you learn how to ride a bicycle, you don't forget. But with the meditation, you can actually be meditating for years and still have some meditation practices or periods that are better than others. Now, obviously, when you get onto the level of like monks that are doing it all day, every day, then that's when you're like riding a bicycle, okay? But for the most part, just think in terms of meditation as a practice. You're trying, it's a practice. So be patient with yourself, okay? All right, so for the yoga, this is the last time. Oh, I got to take off my socks. I promise you guys I do the jump lunge. Why did I do that today? But for the yoga, we're going to be starting off in the child's pose, and it's extended arms. So I want you to get your feet together. And then I want you to also put your knees on the outside of the mat if you're using a mat. And then as you sitting upright, just take a nice deep breath, inhaling, ujjayi breath. And then as you exhale, just slowly walk your palms out so that your arms are extended overhead. The crown of your head is facing forward and your forehead is facing down. And that's going to be our starting position. It's going to be a child's pose with extended arms. We're going to hold that for 3 deep breaths. Okay? Now, again, keep in mind, mind-body connection as you're going through the poses and the postures. Just focus on relaxing the joints that you feel in the poses, okay? All right, and I'll be directing you as well. Okay, this is a practice, so please join me. Don't just watch me. You're not getting a lot of benefits just watching. I promise. It's not osmosis. Okay, let's get started. Go ahead and assume position. We're going to get into child's pose. And give me 3 deep ujjayi breaths. On your next inhalation, I want you to come up on the top of your fingertips and just really feel the elongation from the fingertips all the way to the upper part of your shoulders, all the way down your spine to your tailbone. Again, nice deep ujjayi breaths. Again, as you inhale, just kind of think about what's going on inside of your body, and as you exhale, I want you to direct your breath toward those tight areas. All right, go ahead and release the palms down and slowly bring the palms so that they're directly underneath your shoulders. Transition your body. weight, and I want you to place your knees directly underneath your hips as you're taking a nice deep breath. Your fingers are spread out nice and wide. As you exhale, you're going to drop your chin down to your chest, and you're going to round through your spine and tuck your pelvic under. This is a cat position. As you inhale, your head and chest comes forward. You're going to arch your back, tailbone sticks up to the back of the room. Forehead goes up toward the sky. And as you exhale, you're going to round to the spine, tuck the tailbone under. Go through a couple more rotations, just using your breath. As you inhale, cow. And as you exhale, the cat. Just really take your time and just feel as you're massaging your spine going through this motion. Pressing those shoulder blades down away from your ears. Like I say, try to imagine that you're pressing your armpits down toward the mat. And this next exhalation is going to return back to the tabletop, neutral spine. Now we're going to curl our toes under and we're going to take it to downward facing dog. Now this downward facing dog, if this is too much strain and stress and you want to loosen the tension, you can feel free to walk your feet out towards the outer edge of the mat and turn it into a wide stance downward facing dog. Downward facing dog is the resting position. Your fingers and your toes are spread out nice and wide. Your middle fingers are facing forward and your thumbs are facing inward toward each other. Your hand is in alignment with your biceps and you're pressing your chest toward your thighs and your knees. All right, on the next inhalation, I want you to bring that left foot forward toward the fingertips. Release the right knee to the mat, uncurl the toes, lift up your torso. Your chest goes up, forehead goes up to the sky. Extend the arms overhead as you interlace your fingers with the middle fingers pointing up. Again, keep your head in alignment with your bicep and give me 3 nice, deep Ujjayi breaths. Relax those shoulders. All right, go ahead and release the palms back down toward the mat. Uncurl the right toe. Take the left foot back to downward facing dog. Continue pedaling your legs. Again, at this point in this resting position, you want to do what feels comfortable to you. If it's too much strain and stress, you can release your knees down and take it back to the tabletop. Or you can also rest in child's pose. I like to come up on the balls of the top of my toes and roll down to the balls of my feet all the way down to the heels. Again, just do what feels comfortable to you. On the next inhalation, we're going to bring that right foot forward toward the fingertips. Press the left knee down, uncurl the toe. Let's take it back up to the low lunge. Now, if this is too much strain and stress on your neck or shoulders, feel free to bring your palms together at the heart center and do a modification. All right, go ahead and release the palms down. Curl left toes under and take the right foot back and go back to downward facing dog. Now, keeping your palms flat onto the mat, I want you to walk your feet in toward your palms, and you can go ahead and bend your knees so that your palms actually stay flat. And then slowly round it up. Taking it one vertebrae at a time, making sure that your head is the last to rise. All right, take a nice deep breath, and as you exhale, guide the body forward. Look up halfway. Flatten out the palms. Let's go ahead and step back, right, left into the plank. Release your knees, chest, and chin. Let's take it to upward facing dog. And rotate the shoulders. Hold it here. Now go ahead and curl your toes under. Walk your fingertips back toward your toes. As you inhale, take it all the way up. Breathe the palms, exhale, guide the body forward. Inchworm your way to the plank. Release your hips down to the mat to upward facing dog. Curl the toes under and walk your fingertips back. Inhale, take it all the way up. This time going to arch back. Exhale, forward fold. Inchworm to the plank. Release your hips, uncurl your toes, relax the shoulders, elbows come in. Forehead goes up to the sky, open up your chest. Curl the toes under, walk your fingertips back toward your toes. Inhale, take it all the way up. Exhale, guide the body forward to forward fold. Inchworm to the plank. Release the hips, uncurl the toes, relax the shoulders, elbows come in. This is on the inhale. As you exhale, curl the toes under, walk it back. As you inhale, take it all the way up. And exhale. Inchworm to the plank. Release, uncurl, relax, elbows are in, forehead goes up toward the sky. Now I'm doing it high, but if this is too much, you can be here, okay? Take it back. Let's do one more rotation. Inhale, take it all the way up. Exhale. Inchworm to the plank. Release the hips, uncurl the toes, relax the shoulders. Again, the modification will be here. Okay, it could be here or here. Curl the toes under. Let's take it to downward facing dog. This is as you exhale. As you inhale, bring your body forward to plank. And as you exhale, take it to downward facing dog. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Again, inhale. And exhale. All right, go ahead and inhale and hold plank. Now bring that left foot forward toward the left pinky. And then switch. Now you can feel free to stay here by alternating in the spider lunge, or if you want to bring up the heart rate, you can jump and switch. Okay? Try not to get your butt in the air. Alright, return. Back to down facing dog. This time, we're going to walk our feet in towards our palms again. Try to keep the palms flat. If you need to, bend the knees. Kind of forward fold and hold here for a second. And then slowly round it up, one vertebrae at a time. Making sure again your head is last to rise. Take a nice deep breath, inhaling. As you exhale, dive the body forward. Place the palms flat. Walk your feet out to the edges of the mat so that your toes are facing toward the corners of the room. And as you exhale, release your tailbone down towards your mat. Put the palms together in the prayer position at heart center, using your elbows to push out on those inner thighs. And bow your head down. Go ahead and release the palms down to the mat. And then take the palms behind you. Slowly start to transition your body weight so that your sits bones are down on the mat. And then you're going to come face forward into a nice cross-legged position. Again, making sure that you're on your sits bones and off the fleshy part of your bottom. Fingertips are down toward the mat. Take a nice deep breath, inhaling. And then exhale. Fingertips return back to the mat. Again, deep breath, inhaling. And exhaling. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling. This time we're going to greet the palms together at the very top. Exhale down through the center. And add your bow. Namaste. Alright, so you're in a nice cross-legged position. Let's go right into our meditation. So I want you to just take a nice deep ujjayi breath, inhaling through your nose. And just kind of feel where your body is at this moment in time, especially after going through that yoga practice. And as you exhale, I want you to drop your chin down towards your chest and close your eyes. As you inhale, your head and chest comes up. Just lift your forehead all the way up toward the sky. And as you exhale, drop your chin down toward your chest. Again, as you inhale, take your head up. Forehead goes up toward the sky. And as you exhale, release your chin down toward your chest. One more time. As you inhale, take your head up. Forehead goes up toward the sky. And this time, as you exhale, release your chin forward. Your eyes are still closed. Just take a couple deep ujjayi breaths. Again, just simply be more aware of where you are in this present moment. We're going to take you through progressive relaxation. I want you to start off with your feet. Go ahead and squeeze your toes, your feet, ball them up really, really tight as you inhale, and hold it. Just hold it really tight. And as you exhale, go ahead and release it. Wiggle those toes around. Your feet are there for grounding. I want you to pretend like there's roots coming out from the bottom of your feet all the way down into the earth, all the way through the ground, the cracks and crevices, and really planting yourself and grounding yourself there. Just stay with that for just a moment. Now as you inhale again, this time I want you to work your way up to your thighs. I want you to squeeze those thigh muscles really, really tight and hold it. As you inhale, just hold and squeeze. Feel like you're just bringing those thighs in together, squeezing them really, really tight. And then exhale and release. Relax the muscles in the thighs. Just kind of stay with that relaxation. relaxation for a moment. Feel it work its way all the way down to the balls of your leg, to the bottom of your legs, all the way out to your feet. Just breathe. Okay, working our way up to the gluteals. As you inhale, you squeeze your butt cheeks really, really tight. Just really focus on squeezing those sit bones, bringing them in together. Just hold and squeeze. Hold it, and then release. Feel how good it feels to release the tension in your body as it melts away. Just kind of stay with that for a moment. Right now I want you to take your fingertips. I want you to ball your hands really, really tight. Make a muscle or make a fist and squeeze it really, really tight. And I want you to bring those fists all the way up to your shoulders so that you're squeezing your biceps. So you're squeezing all the muscles in your arms. It's also coming across the top part of your chest. Just squeeze it, and hold it. And as you exhale, release it. Open up the fingers, let the arms go down, and then feel them lengthening as those muscles are released. Again, stay with that for a moment. Just feel how good your body feels to be relaxed, release of that tension. Okay, working our way up to our shoulders. On your next inhale, I want you to squeeze those shoulders all the way up to your ears. Squeeze them really, really tight. For some of you, it's not going to take much. There's a lot of strain and stress and pressure there already. But squeeze it tight and hold it, and then release it as you exhale. Just feel the shoulders just drop down and elongates your neck. Just all the tension and stress and negative energy that you tend to carry in your shoulders. Just feel them melting away. Just really stay with that for a moment. Now we're going to squeeze all the muscles in our face, our forehead, our ears. Squeeze your nose together, clench your teeth, make it really, really tight. Hold it, just hold it. And release. Relaxing the forehead, the cheeks, your nose, your chin, your ears. Feel your body totally relax and just kind of stay with that for a moment. Now go ahead and smile to yourself. Feels good. To be here in this present moment. You're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future. It's just this here and this now. You feel good. Tell yourself, I feel great. Just repeat, I feel great. Continue breathing, inhale deeply through your nose. And as you exhale, I want you to repeat the word relax. Just kind of stay with that for a moment. You're still smiling to yourself. You're still feeling great. Now go ahead and give me a deep ujjayi breath, inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. Again, nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. One more time, nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. Now go ahead and open your eyes as you release, relax, and return refreshed and calm. You've done something good for yourself today. Thank you for taking the time to meditate with me, and also thank you for taking the time to watch this Transform Your Life in 15 minutes. Our conversation on that, I hope, is very enlightening for you. The word of the day is genuine. I want you to have a genuinely happy day. Be a genuine person and genuinely be happy today. As you go about your day, I want you to think about this meditation, about how good that you feel on the inside, and let that make a reflection on the outside. Monday's broadcast, I'm actually doing a favor for a fellow co-worker, so I'm going to be subbing a 5:30 cycle class. It's an hour class. So the broadcast will be delayed by an hour. I will be starting at 7 o'clock a.m. on Monday morning. I'll see you then. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.